Jai Baba.
Tad Meher Baba ki jai. So let's start with the seven realities. Ashok ji, please start.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai, the seven realities: existence, love, sacrifice, renunciation, knowledge, control, and surrender. I give no importance to creed, dogma, caste, or the performance of religious ceremonies and rites, but to the understanding of the following. 1. The only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. 2. The only real love is the love for this infinity God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth, God. 3. The only real sacrifice is that in which, in pursuance of this love, all things, body, mind, position, welfare, and even life itself are sacrificed. 4. The only real renunciation is that which abandons, even in the midst of worldly duties, all selfish thoughts and desires. 5. The only real knowledge is the knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and in so called bad, in saint and in so called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand without expectation of reward. When compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, and to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. 6. The only real control is the discipline of senses to abstain from indulgence in low desires, which alone ensures absolute purity of character. 7. The only real surrender is that in which poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstance, and the individual amidst every kind of hardship is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. Given by Meher Baba in 1952, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Over to you, Karthik.
Thank you very much, Ashok ji. And let's go to where we are. So we continue from the last week's reading where Sanjay ji concluded for us beautifully. We finished on page 414, right? So, and we continue from that point on. Yeah. So, any volunteers who want to go first to read for a bit? No. So I will
Maybe
read. I will
you
start.
start, we'll join
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I will start. Yeah, yeah, I will start initially. Star Meher Baba ki jai. In quest of light and love. By the time Meher Baba had concluded the search for the perfect boy, it was observed that coincidentally, in some parts of the world, the younger generation developed interest in spiritual life and commenced a search for a perfect master. Was it the result of Baba's work, the phase of contacting teenagers? Whatever it may be, I feel it fitting to quote here Meher Baba's words of wisdom, released in his later years, especially for groping youngsters in quest of light and love. The following message, under the caption Meher Baba has said on drugs, was edited and compiled from Meher Baba's statements by one of his close disciples, Francis Brabazon. At the close of the year, no, that's just his chapter name, sorry. No mind changing or consciousness expanding drug can help even one step on the way to the inner self, because mind does not have to be changed, nor does consciousness have to be expanded for As soon as the soul emerged from the process of evolution as a human being, it had full consciousness, full, fully evolved, and complete in every respect. And it cannot be changed or expanded, increased or decreased. What has to happen now in each one is that mind has to be emptied of all the impressions which color consciousness and cause one to identify oneself with what one is not. You do not have to become better or bigger. You have to become that which in truth you are. There is no shortcut to the beloved except that which is through the grace of the God man or one of the living perfect masters. Drugs, any drugs, can be used beneficially for specific medical purposes, but for spiritual progress, they are not only useless but are positively harmful. The experiences they give are but of the shadows of shining truth, and although some of them are not habit forming, one becomes addicted to the experiences of the false imagination they give. To attempt to approach the creator of universes and the beloved of hearts through drugs is to mock the majesty of God and insult your own intelligence. The ancient, beautiful self of each of us can only be realized by loving Him with all the love one has. Pure, simple, unconditional love. Pure love, which gives without bargaining, is the greatest of all forces for overcoming every difficulty on the way to truth. It is unparalleled in power, untiring in persistence, and matchless in patience and endurance. And so there is no darkness it cannot dispel. Everything has its price.
Hey, Baba Karthik, sorry to disturb you. The last paragraph we can highlight. I think it's really, I found it very significant. If everybody agrees, or if you think,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
if you can I request you to read again? If you,
Sure. Pure love, which gives without bargaining, is the greatest of all forces for overcoming every difficulty on the way to truth. It is unparalleled in power, untiring in persistence, and matchless in patience and endurance. And so there is no darkness it cannot dispel. Everything has its price. The price for entering the way is that you will keep straight ahead and not go off on side excursions. The price for obtaining the beloved's presence is that you cease being present to yourself. And the price for actual sight of him is that you see nothing else but him. I like this line as well. The price for obtaining the beloved's presence is that you cease being present to yourself. And the price for actual sight of him is that you see nothing else but him. I like this too. Yeah. So I'll finish the last few lines. The little god of dreams locked in a pill is not the god of love and universal will. The little god of dreams, which dreams sustain, is not the god who lives in lover's lane. 103 is so. This is the message origin. Meher Baba has said on drugs, Beacon Hill publication, Southwest Australia, Meher House Publications, 1973. As mentioned, it was Francis Brabazon. Very
Read those
interesting. I
four
think,
lines again, Karthik. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The little god of dreams locked in a pill is not the god of love and universal will. The little god of dreams, which dreams sustain, is not the god who lives in a lover's lane. Is not the god who lives in lover's lane. So the key thing here is dreams which dreams sustain is what drugs do. So it's basically emanating out of something that's already unreal to start with. And like mentioned elaborately in the above page, the role of these substances are very limited, very fake, if I can use the word, compared to the real uh, uh, progress one needs to make to get closer to God. And the key point that Baba makes in the first set of the message is there is nothing that needs to be done to consciousness. Because if you see the description that drugs often have, is they they sell it on the prospect of altering your consciousness, right? And that's exactly where Baba starts the message and says, "Hey, the consciousness is complete and full. You don't have to change anything there." It's any other comments?
Yeah, it creates a false sense of, you know, it creates a false sense of hallucination or something which is not real.
Correct. Okay, let's continue then. Next message. Will you willingly frequent places of prostitution? To resume the account of the year 1948, Baba continued to stay at Meherazad. Some of the men and women Mandali resided at Meherabad, Arangaon, at a distance of about 15 miles, so Baba paid them regular visits. He wished to keep Meherazad as a secluded residence. Whenever he granted permission to devotees to see him, the meeting place would be Meherabad and not Meherazad. In the month of December, there were two small darshan gatherings at Meherabad, one on the 7th and one on the other on the 12th. For the first program, a person came from Pune who had met Baba on past occasions. This time, he came especially to have a short interview with Baba. He was a religious-minded man. Such types of people generally hold strong conventional ideas about spirituality and attach very special importance to the outward forms of rituals and disciplines. When one has the rare opportunity of meeting the master face to face, however, one should unburden oneself of all dogmas and be receptive to his guidance, whatever it may be. The master knows the secret of wiping out vitiating complexes, but to be eligible for his help, one has to offer oneself diligently to his compassionate call for obedience. This particular person pleaded that Baba help him lead a real spiritual life. Upon hearing his request, Baba appeared very pleased. After some formal inquiries, he solemnly asked this person an unusual question. Will you willingly frequent places of prostitution in Pune if ordered? The man looked quite puzzled. He tried vainly to smile and inquired of Baba whether he was joking. He had read a good many books on religion, but nowhere had he come across such a strange spiritual discipline. He tried to tell Baba that he was really in earnest about his request and that he was not after material enjoyment but spiritual bliss. Baba, to whom the deepest layers of consciousness were an open book, assured him that nothing was conveyed in jest. This made the man all the more confused. He made a fresh attempt to argue with Baba, but in the end, he nervously expressed his inability to carry out Baba's instruction. Poor soul. He failed to understand that what Baba really expected of him was not visits to the brothels, but an intensity of surrender to Baba's will. Those who failed in total dedication to Baba, he generally asked to please themselves. In this case, Baba asked the man to visit holy places in different parts of India. During these travels, he was not to carry money with him and he was to be careful not to touch any woman. He happily agreed to this. Baba then fixed the date of his departure and warned him to commence the pilgrimage on that particular date. Some days later, this man sent a telegram to Baba stating that owing to some personal difficulties, the date of leaving Pune had to be changed. To what extent the person faithfully and literally carried out the rest of Baba's order, I do not know. It is, however, clear that he did not comprehend the rarity and potency of the master's orders. The next year, 1949, Baba left Meherazad for the new life, and all correspondence with him was completely stopped. No one was allowed to meet him. He returned to Meherazad in December 1951. Some months later, when one of Baba's Mandali visited Pune, news reached his ears that the above mentioned person had commenced visiting brothels and had ruined his life by contacting the worst type of lustful impressions. Perhaps he had tried to play with fire. Had he agreed to carry out Baba's instruction, it would have been a different story. Doing anything under the express order of the master is non-doing. Under such conditions, the inexorable law of karma works, but it does not create impressions that bind the soul. Baba's first question to him was incidental and strictly personal. I'm sure it will not be misunderstood. Baba always held high the dignity of married life and warned all against a life of promiscuity. In later years, the two injunctions that Baba repeatedly stressed for those in quest of truth were no drugs and no sex outside of marriage. Again, pause here for a bit before continuing. So, what do you think of this episode?
Yeah, it is very is
Taranga.
I, they call it a soda water Josh, right? So that is uh, in the beginning you are so excited that you will follow everything, but in reality it becomes very difficult to follow a master. You have to really surrender, and when the master is God incarnate himself, is even more probably difficult. Such instructions, Baba tested people, I think, in several occasions that you can roam around in your city fully naked, and the person did not agree. Or sometimes they agreed, and then Baba said, no, 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 this is not, these kind of instructions did come. So that's one. Other thing was that message that whatever you do out of his instructions is non-doing. That's something to think about and meditate upon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was the big takeaway in the sense that if you follow his, I mean, you don't basically add impressions when you're blindly following the master's instruction,
Yeah.
which makes sense. So what does one do when we are now not having direct access to Baba's words, right? So how do we make sure that we perform actions that are non-binding? Those of us who are gifted with greater intuitions need not reply. I'm talking of the average few who struggle to make the distinction between intuition and probably hallucination or not get the right messages from Baba.
I think
I'm
one
not
test
saying
is
not
that
get the
whether
right
Baba would like me
messages.
to
Let
do
me take
this.
that back. No, no, no.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
take that back. I'm not
That's a
saying,
very simple test which we can apply. And can I
Mhm.
do this in Baba's presence? So that's one.
Yes.
So that's one very easy and which I think everybody can apply is that. So that one itself is I think enough for a few lives, I suppose.
Yes.
Jay Baba, I think that the simple message of good thoughts, good words, good deeds, and as Sanjay said, every time you are awake and any kind of action you do, you behave as if Baba is in front of you. And how would you behave if Baba is always in front of you? So, and the other thing is, my way of doing it is I read the seven awakenings, which I keep repeating. the how to love God, my wish, the three prayers, the three Hafiz sayings, the seven Sahaba sayings, 12 ways of realizing me. And those things basically seven realities, right? So those things basically have the underlying message. How do we, how we do intelligent action? The whole idea of being alive is, are we doing intelligent action to unwind sanskara so we can get moksha or mukti, the liberation, because it's a game, what I call as G to G, God to God, game of duality to get over duality. So this is a whole game only in the waking state. So of course, each one of us will do it in our own way, But Baba has given us the framework, and we have to use our intuition and Vivek and Vairagya and act accordingly, Jai Baba.
Absolutely.
Jai
Thanks
Baba,
for that.
just to add to whatever has been said by all of you, it's very profound. I think Baba has given us the discourses on how to lead one's life and how to uh, move ahead. I think whenever we have a doubt, we can just back to discourses on what to do and how. And I think the two messages in the paragraphs you read is very clear. Uh, no drugs and no sex outside marriage. So I think that's a clear uh, diktat which he has given. And then also you could have a real surrender or complete surrender to what he says. If he says something, we just, I mean, if we had the time of, we were with him, we just follow him and he will make sure that you're not put into any sort of jeopardy. Jai Baba.
But how do you know every time we are following his instructions? That's the main question now, right? Because Baba is like master is not here as
No, now we
Karthik said.
follow the discourses. The discourses have
Yeah.
got a lot of, has got everything which we required for, moving ahead on the path. The discourses is very very clear on the how part, what to, how to behave, how to act, and it's very clear the how. Just
I,
to,
Yeah,
just to
in the real
summarize,
life, Ashokji,
yeah.
things are much more complex, that I worked so hard all over the year and I didn't get the enough increment or I did not get a promotion. Whatever, these kinds of real daily life thing. I was so good with this person, but I was treated badly. I tried to do this with the best of my intent, but my intent was wrongly understood. So to convince ourselves that it is all of out of Baba's wish and still try to be on the right path is really, really very, very challenging. I think it is a very long process. But the if we keep the focus on which can come only through, as Baba said, keep me in your heart, remember me always. Then there is, Shanai, Shanai, as we call it in Sanskrit. It is like a rope that touches the wall, and the wall gets cut. So, but it takes so long to do, unless you get a sudden blessing or Baba blesses you with something. But on as a normal process, which applies to nearly all of us, is that. So it's not easy.
uh,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, in the
And
real life things, it's very challenging. Somebody
yeah,
hurt me very badly. So how do I make myself comfortable and forget the whole thing and be the same that I was with him? So is it possible?
yeah,
It's very
agreed.
very difficult. Yeah, yeah, Baba.
Sanjay ji, Jai Baba.
and
Agreed. It is no doubt a tightrope walking in, moving ahead in the challenges of life, and yet keeping all your work, and trying not to create more sanskaras. At least we just wind up or wind uh, our sanskaras and bring them the lesser load of the sanskaric, the karmic and sanskaric loads. we try to do our best. And I think Baba has said that when you are happy, think that I am making you happy, and when you are sad. So I think it's all in the journey, but we'll have to keep our balance. And it's like the tightrope walking. We have to still keep our balance and move ahead. I agree, it
I
is
think we
challenging.
can try, but still we need a grace. That's what I think. Yeah,
No, no,
Oh,
definitely.
no doubt
Jai
about
Baba,
it. So just
Jai
to
Baba,
go
you
ahead,
know,
Kama.
an analogy I use is very simple. Previously I used to say we are all part of the Baba University doing our PhD, but actually now I say that we have finished our PhD because Baba has already accepted us. Now we are on tenure, okay, to become a fully tenured professor, like, associate professor, assistant professor, full professor to professor emeritus. So actually, we are all, at least for me, I believe that Baba's grace is already there. What we have to do is to keep working at it, give the best effort, intense longing, intense effort, infinite patience, and as he said, intense effort to become effortless. So the idea out here is we are now out there in the world. We have the framework. The only thing is about implementation. It's like publish or perish in the university academic system, like to become a tenured professor. So I think we are all in a kind of a tenure position where we are being tested every day in our day-to-day activities, especially dealing with people and all the other nitty-gritties of life. So grace is always there. Yes, ultimately divine grace has to come to remove the last sanskaric, the sixth plane, where the what I call as the organic sanskaras, the animal sanskaras. What we are really working on is the inorganic human sanskaras, which we have developed through our spending sanskaras in the reincarnation state. So the challenge here is that are we able to be self-aware and able to implement all those teachings in a practical point of view? The theory is already available to us, Jai Baba.
Yeah, so just to summarize everybody's comments and try to help Ashish and me in the process. So, no easy answers. Discourses is the practical guide. Second, work and build your intuition. And third, use tools like what Sanjay ji said and Kama. Do things that you would do in the presence of Baba. And yeah, I think that's and finally, it's your own personal journey, right? And when I say personal journey, it also comes with the caveat that you are also personally responsible for it, right? So if you distill the choices that one makes, it's all back to what we discussed last week or 2 weeks back. How you respond to stimuli around you in in food, deed, and word, right? And that determines how one makes progress or regresses. I think that's my thought, Ashish. So I hope that helps. Not
Jai
very
Baba,
helpful. Yeah, go ahead now.
how do you guys rate yourselves on the path?
Uh, I think that's again personal,
Yeah,
and I
share
don't
your
think even
personal. Then we'll
recommend it.
see what. No, we will
No,
see what competition we have around. How do you rate
no.
yourself?
So I would request that we do not do that because A,
Ayo.
it's personal. No, no. Let me explain my logic for it. A,
Mm,
it's personal, and B, by the very fact of rating itself, you're actually
mm,
pandering to the ego because it's none of your business, actually. You just keep pegging away at what you're supposed to do from use of your viveka and your discretion to get
mm.
intelligent action nine times out of 10 or 900 or 99,999 times out of 1 lakh, right? So it's basically hard work, and there's no way to actually tell where you are with reasonable accuracy. So
But I would
it's
like to
only no,
add.
no, no. It's only an exercise in vanity.
Yeah, but you see, we can collectively agree that
Hmm.
we are doing a bit better since we have been collectively on Baba journey. That much we can say with Baba.
Humbly, yes. Humbly,
We,
humbly,
we must
humbly,
say
and
yes.
academically,
Don't add
yes.
probably here.
I
It
think
gives you
at least we are
motivation,
aware.
Karthik.
At least we know we are aware that what is what is to be done and what shouldn't be done. You know. So from
Yeah.
that perspective, I think we are much better off before we started this journey together. And that credit, of course, always goes to Baba. So I would say in my case, I am 3 on 10. But in with this journey, with all of you, I think we will be at least 10 on 10 before we leave the body.
Yeah, yeah. The simple fact that we are connected 4.5 years down the line from where we started, that itself is a blessing, I suppose. That we
Of
are,
course.
if not regularly, at least most times we are able to attend this call.
Ourselves.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Yeah, Baba.
Baba. Thank
I
you.
think
Sorry for the digression.
no, no. But I just add one point to Sanjay ji. Uh, the lesser uh, happiness should be about whether we are connected to each other and sustained this relationship on the call and discussion. But the greater win would be if, like Namita said, and probably all of us should agree and err on the side of motivation than on the side of ego, that yes, there has been some progress. It is very good for the morale. It's good for motivation of the group as well. That yes, we are together. But the bigger thing is we should have strengthened our understanding, deepened our connection to Baba, and if we have ticked any of those boxes, I think that's a great win for
Yeah, yeah,
the individual
absolutely.
soul.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
absolutely. I
would
mean,
I
I
I would
didn't mean we are personally connected. I mean that we are blessed
Deeperly,
that we
deep.
are able to spend 1.5 hours. Baba gives that schedule and everything matches, and there is nothing else emergency in our families which does not allow us to join this call, or we are busy with our work or some such thing. That itself, I suppose, is
It's good. Yeah.
Baba's nazar on us. Yeah, yeah, Baba. That way. Yeah.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Okay, so given that it's a good 30 minutes, anybody else wants to take over and continue reading from this time from the
Yeah,
next
I
section,
can,
which
I
is
can,
dev. Yes,
if
Ashok ji, please go ahead.
I
Devil of
can
doubt.
take over, and I think whatever is happening, we should take it as Baba's wish. I mean, ultimately, nothing happens without his will and wish. So, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai, the devil of doubt. The second darshan program was on December 12th, 1948. From the beginning, Baba was benevolent in allowing me to be present at most of such gatherings. With his inner help, I was able to attend, though sometimes unwanted difficulties arose. Some memories connected with such short stays near Baba in those early days are vivid and lively. But to be frank, it is difficult for me to recollect the month and the year. At any rate, I am sure I was at Mehrabad on December 12th. I still remember what a happy time I spent with Dr. Ghani. Once he read to me some lines from his ghazals. As I did not understand Urdu, he used to explain the meaning in Hindi and English. These ghazals were compiled in a small booklet under the title Hosh Mat Hosh. I will give a free rendering of some lines from the ghazal entitled Saki. The poet wrote, O lover, as a rule, no unwanted person can enter the lane of the beloved. In case anyone sets a foot unawares in this lane, it is difficult for him to get away from it. This Sakis is the school, the like, of which you will not find anywhere. The lesson you once learned here cannot be forgotten. I just want to say that that is the answer to what we had just discussed. The lesson you once learned here cannot be forgotten. It is the rare fortune that you come across a tavern of the Saki, the wine cellar. Drink to your heart's content. If the glass is broken, do not hesitate to drink by handful. What a marvelous lane, an incredible school, and a wonderful tavern. I feel that these lines portray the atmosphere of those small gatherings held at Mehtabad. On the morning of the 12th,
I just pause you for a minute. So,
yes,
anybody understands what this term Saki originates from? Is it Saki, the companion? Is it
no,
Persian? Is it, I don't
No,
know.
no, no. Saki means the one who serves you wine.
Oh, okay.
It's a Saki. Yeah.
Urdu.
It is called Saki, not Saki. Yeah.
Urdu or
Yeah, the Urdu word, there is a ghazal that I sometimes sing. Saki pe ilzam na aaye, chahe mujh
okay.
tak jam na aaye. Don't blame the Saki even if the glass doesn't reach me. So that way. Yeah. Jai Baba.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Yes, Ashokji.
on the morning of 12th, Baba and a few of Mandali arrived at Mehrabad from Merazad, and the whole atmosphere seemed to radiate his divine presence. Once during the day, I saw Baba sitting on a chair in the open courtyard near the ashram building. A well dressed group of his devotees, men and women who had come from outstations, were standing in a queue to meet him. Some of them held in their hands nicely wrapped packets to offer Baba. In spite of the unconditional love that Baba showered on me, it was my weakness, rather the result of my inferiority complex, that sometimes I had a doubt that Baba was more in favor of the rich. Influenced by this misunderstanding, I picked a small cluster of tulsi, a wild but sacred shrub with small leaves, and joined the line. With a look of unhurried awareness of the depth of everyone's devotion for him, Baba was greeting each one in the queue. He patted some on the back, kissed a few children, and smiled at the rest as they moved closer to his chair. There was a quality of heavenliness in all his gestures. Yet, how strange that in such a blissful atmosphere, my mind was still possessed by the devil of doubt. As I approached Baba, I bowed down and offered with him bare bunch of leaves. He accepted it gracefully as he had received something very valuable. I have noticed that sometimes a simple offering made him beam with animated appreciation. He looked at me and then handed these leaves to Kaka Baria, who was standing by his side as though for safekeeping. He must have read my stupid thoughts, yet he so lovingly accepted the leaves. I felt ashamed and pitied myself. Baba's response of love, however, warded off this constricting doubt, and it did not return. I was convinced that Baba is for everyone. He has his own way of meeting his dear ones on their own levels. He is for the rich and for the poor. He is for the learned and for the ignorant. Once someone questioned Baba in the same vein of doubt that I had had, and he conveyed, don't see how I behave with the rich or the poor, the mad or the must. Don't try to fathom the unfathomable. Do not judge me. Love me. Baba's words remind me of the lines of Hafiz. In one couplet, Hafiz says, when you are with the beloved, beware. Every moment in his company is at a crossroad that may lead you close to or away from him.
Okay,
A
I'll
humorous,
pause again and
yeah,
ask a provocative question. Second provocative question after Nomita, but I hope you all indulge me on this one. So, how many have had any devils of doubt ever since you came to Baba? I, for one, will admit I had it many times.
For me also. Me too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We have. I mean, sometimes situations so bad that leave everything.
Doubt about what?
Doubt about
Baba.
Baba, right? So, the devil of doubt is as described in this example, where he doubts mm, uh, Baba and his and he's basically thinking that Baba is more for the rich. So at many times, I mean, at multiple times rather, I have had questions about Baba in my mind in the early years. So I'm just asking that question aloud for us to think and see if some of the others felt that way. So Ashish confirms.
Well,
Yeah.
Jai
I
Baba, I can tell you that my own journey, I think everybody's experience is different. When I got to know about Baba in 96, 97 through Pete Townshend of The Who, I read about him, I intellectually connected. But till I went to the Amar Tithi and then I had this vision of my seeing his picture and the person's house where I went was, he was from Andhra and his name was Meher Prasad. It took me almost 90, so 12 years to get conviction. So it kind of starts off with a belief and then a faith and then kind of conviction. And I've talked to other people also, and some people get immediate conviction. Some people take their own time. My own issue was that I thought he could be another Osho for all I care. And but you have to have his blessing, the grace. And then after that incident, he has been reinforcing all the time. So yes, all of us go through that doubtful mode, and yeah, Jai Baba.
Yeah,
From what you're
I
Jai,
think.
describing, looks like there was no doubt. There was no doubt. It was only the strengthening of the conviction. In my case, I will be honest, there was a doubt itself, saying, "Hey, am I doing this right? But what's going on here? Is this some sort of a cult?" I think I've talked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jai
that,
Baba,
that's the beginner's path that you are talking, Karthik. But
Yeah.
actually, if I take your question to a wider context, I think we are still not convinced with Baba's divinity, because at least for me, I say I feel frustrated. I do blame people for certain things. I criticize people on their back. So I have lustful thoughts. So that itself, in a way, is saying that you don't mean that Baba is looking at you. He's around you. We are not fully into him actually. I mean, at least for me, I would say. So are we surrendered to him in a complete way? I mean, okay, knowing intellectually is God, and we go to Mirabad, meet and Jai Baba, and when we are rightfully thinking, we think yes, he is God. But in your deep thought, in your deep behavior, which comes spontaneously out of that wish that comes out of you, has that gone? Probably no. So your question is not as easy to answer, and as you lightly put it. Yeah, Jai Baba.
Amazing,
Jai Baba.
But
amazing
Yeah, yeah,
response and courageous
yeah.
response. I agree with you 100%. But that was actually not my expectation of the
No, no, no,
answer.
no.
In the
I
sense,
know
all
you
of
just
us
wanted.
probably
Are you fully
the
convinced
doubt.
on a
Yes,
different note?
yes,
But
yes,
I only said
yes.
that I expand your question to a wider
Yes,
context. Yeah,
agreed,
Jai Baba.
agreed, agreed. That's a very valid way of looking at it. I mean, very
Jai Baba.
broader. Yeah, no.
Our family is third generation Baba lovers. I am not. I'm from another family, but I'm married into a family. For me, Baba was there, but he meant nothing. And I, I, I mean, I don't doubt him because I feel pure love towards him. I feel since I was invited by Baba to kind of follow him, I have no space for questioning him. And whenever I'm in doubt, or I don't know who's the topmost god or whatever. I don't know what's that level. But the kind of love, surrender, and belongingness I feel in Baba's thought, and complete safety in anything that's going wrong in my life, that he has my back. That is unshaken. All my other gods have dissolved, and I'm doing nothing towards this. It is by his grace. So I don't doubt him. I am completely in submission. Whether he's the topmost God, where all my needs get, I don't know. I know that he knows what is best for me, and I surrender to him, and that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Hey, Baba.
Yeah, Baba.
All right. I think we can continue, uh, Ashokji. Thanks for that discussion. I hope it was useful.
Yes, yes.
I
I
hope
think
it reached Baba.
and yeah, Baba is
Everything reaches him. Yeah.
Baba is listening to everything we do. So uh, I just wanted to add that I came into Baba's fold through the Pimpri Chinchwad group, which sings bhajans. So it started as rendering of bhajans, but later on, when we started MBA, I got into the depth of the intellectual part of it. Although uh, Kama has always been you know a great partner in you know uh, talking about God speaks and discourses, and I found God speaks one of the most difficult texts. But after being into MBA for the last couple of years, got better clarity. So I think the path lies that we know about him is is the of the seven realities, and that is real surrender. So we just surrender to him, and he will guide us in the path. Jai Baba. I'll continue.
Great. Jai Baba, please.
A humorous coincidence. Prior to Baba's long stay at Mehrazad, the men and women Mandali who constantly moved with him from place to place did not live together but in two different houses, and the two quarters would not be very close to each other. At Mehrazad, however, Baba asked the men to occupy small improvised rooms adjacent to the compound wall. 104, the cross reference. The rooms were unfurnished and had a low roof of old corrugated iron sheets. There was no lavatory, no kitchen, and not even a bathroom. Karthik, just allow me. I went through a tape. Mehrabad, the early days, it was all barren land. What we see now is much improvised, and a lot of things have happened after Baba set foot on in Mehrabad in 1923. So it's been more than 100 years since he came in May 23. So I'm just saying that it was not easy. It was not easy days when the start of Mehrabad. Jai Baba.
Absolutely.
In I might have digressed, but the just thought came to my mind that this really a lot of things have happened. Continuing, in those days, as per Baba's instruction, the men disciples were not allowed to meet or even greet the women permanently residing near Baba. Dr. Gohar, who joined the women Mandali in 1947, was an exception. She was the link between these two groups. While sitting with the men mandali, if Baba wished to convey anything to the women inside, Kaka Baria would ring a bell and Goher would come out to the gate to get the message. Even the gardening work inside the compound was done only by the maid servants. So a doctor and Baba's untiring personal physician in the beginning, Dr. Goher was allotted many sundry duties except medical ones. Dr. Goher commented later, maybe it was to take away the pride of the profession. By the end of 1948, Baba's brother Adi Jr. brought some Manila ducks to Meherazad and Baba wished to keep them, so a small tank was built in the garden that suited them well. Dr. Goher was to look after the ducks. Besides, she had to take care of other small poultry. What a spiritual discipline to follow after meeting the master. So instead of reading any books or journals on medical subjects, she had to study books on poultry farming. Baba rarely granted any interviews at the Mirazad quarters. In December, however, he made an exception. One morning, he was seen sitting in Kakabaria's room with a learned person from North India. Baba was explaining to the visitor the planes of consciousness. After elucidating the main characteristics of the first six planes, he was about to comment upon the seventh plane. Just then, not knowing that Baba was giving an interview, Dr. Gore appeared at the door and broke in sharply. Baba, the wheat husk for the chickens is out of stock. Can I ask the servant boy to get another bag? Baba, whose sense of humor was as spontaneous as that of a genuine comedian, smiled at her and good humoredly gestured. We were about to step into the seventh plane, and you brought us right down to the gross plane. Goer felt a bit nervous, but in a way, she was duty bound too. The person who attended daily to the marketing was about to leave for Ahmednagar, a distance of about 10 miles, and it was time to give him the list of articles to be purchased for the day. To order any new or extra things, Baba had to be informed. It was his specific instruction. Thus, obedience to Baba's order incidentally brought about this humorous coincidence. How the scholar related Baba's explanation about the plains and Goa's inquiry about the wheat husk is a different matter, but I do remember that Baba enjoyed the fun of the situation and in later years sometimes referred to this incident and gestured. To me, husk or heaven makes no difference. What I liked most about Goa was a sense of duty in obedience to my order. Don't worry, be happy. During this month, similarity in names created some slight humor. Meenu Kharas from Pakistan requested that Baba grant darshan to a small group of Baba lovers from Karachi. Baba instructed Adi Senior to send a telegram of approval. In the haste of attending to so many details, Adi Senior unwittingly thought that he was informed Meenu Pohawala, another Baba lover from Karachi, and acted accordingly. Naturally, the telegram caused short but sweet confusion, but soon the mistake was rectified. Meenu Kharas and other stalwarts from Pakistan newly arrived in India. They had Babas and living and livening darshan at Ahmednagar on the last day of the year in Kushru quarters, now known as Meher Nazar. There was silence in the room and all gazed at Baba's radiant face. Everyone had paid homage to Baba, and he accepted the love with a beaming smile. When this informal meeting was over, everyone was exceedingly happy. They had journeyed for hundreds of miles to see Baba just for a short time, and they would have been only too happy to extend their stay. But Baba asked them to leave Ahmednagar the next day, January 1st, 1949. They were happy to obey him. At such small gatherings of Baba lovers, there would not be any discussions on metaphysical or spiritual subjects. Baba's presence was enough for his lovers. Baba would generally make inquiries about the journey and their health. His robust sense of humor would keep the atmosphere light and lively. With an open mind, the visitors would absorb his divine presence and accept lovingly his words of advice. The gist of what he generally conveyed to his dear ones can be summed up in the following simple yet deep, potent statements. Do your best and leave to me the rest. Don't worry, be happy. Go happily, taking me with you. Be in the world, but not of it. Don't lose heart, but keep me in your heart. I am nearer to you than your own breath. Remember me, and I am here. I am there with you, and you will love, and my love will guide you. I am the divine beloved who loves you more than you can ever love yourself. I love all, and I want is love, and all I want is love. I am love. I take a pause here because uh, I'll request Karthik if you can highlight all these, you know,
Yeah, I
take.
think I agree.
Sorry.
I agree. I agree. This is beautiful.
Yeah, Jai Baba, I want to make a comment out here. There is, if you read the 12 Ways of Realizing Me, that has some very interesting analogies. Like, Baba uses the seven elements, earth, sun, fire, water, and what Ashok just, read. Kind of, if you read the 12 Ways of Realizing Me, because I read that every day, and it's very beautiful, the analogies of how to realize Baba, which is their own self. As I said earlier, that um, Jesus is the Son of God, Muhammad was the messenger of God, and Baba is telling us, I'm your own innermost loving self. So that is the beauty about Baba, that he wants us to transcend from the personal form of God to the impersonal form of God, because he himself was a drop soul who became the first drop soul to become God realized and got the title Avatar. So that is technically something that we know, but somehow we always put him on a pedestal, and actually we don't crossing over, like transcending that. That is my challenge, Jai Baba.
Can someone explain be in the world and but not of it?
Renunciation of action, not renunciation in action.
Okay.
That
Pronunciation of not pronunciation. Okay, that was even more confusing, but I would say that without attachment. I'm sorry, Kama. I mean, I'm just being honest.
it's
But
actually the
Ashok,
Bhagavad Gita.
yeah, yeah.
The
I'm
Bhagavad
processing
Gita,
So
it.
if it,
attribute,
Yeah,
yeah, Baba. I don't know so much, but it's basically attributing every action you do to him and say that he is the doer and in his will we submit. And you don't take the ownership of doing good or bad to yourself. You just submit it at his divine feet. Yeah.
correct. I think that's not much better. That's clearer, and also detachment, right? Leading a life with detachment, though you don't uh, leave from the current context that you are presented with in this lifetime by going off to the Himalayas, right? So be in the world, but be not off it. So Ashok, I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank
Meaning,
you.
no, renunciation of action is not to be attached to the fruits of your deeds.
Mm,
And
mm.
not renunciation in action means you have to act. You can't just sit and be lazy and say, like, I don't need to do anything, kind of stuff. So that is how you're not attached to the fruits of your deeds, but you still have to do action, which is intelligent action, not worrying about good karma or bad karma, but unwinding samskaras that way. Yeah, Baba.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. I think two words: detachment and intelligent action, and I think that's the key I take from this. Thank you.
Yes, Sarji. Yeah.
Should I read on, or you want to rotate?
Yeah. Please, please, please.
With such loving and encouraging words of advice conveyed by Avatar Meher Baba through his loving gestures to a small gathering at Kushru quarters, the year 1948 came to a close. There was, however, no indication of his incredible new life of hopelessness and helplessness that commenced 10 months later. Glory to the God man, the ancient one, the eternal beloved.
Okay, that brings us to the close of volume one. So 1948, literally to the close of the year, we are closing the first volume. Yeah, any thoughts before we get to the next volume?
It's just that we are in the month of December and we are also reaching the end of 2024.
Yes. Yeah, we may. It's very coincidental.
It's
Right?
coincidentally. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, so this starts from Jan 1949 to 1952. That's volume two. Yeah. Yeah. So let's continue. And if we want to rotate the reading, that's fine as well. Anybody else wants to take over from this point?
I can do it.
Okay, Ashish. Thank you so much, Ashok ji.
Yeah, thank you.
The loving and abiding presence of the
Yeah,
God-man Meher Baba.
to the loving.
Yeah. No, I'll take it to the first chapter. There's a preface for every. Why don't we read both the. Uh, yeah, from here, please. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the introduction, and then we'll continue.
Yeah. Glimpses of the God man. I am especially grateful to Erach Jesawala for his valuable guidance and suggestions throughout my writings. With much love and gratitude in the eternal beloved, to all those who have helped me in various ways in this work. Bal Natu. Mirazat, October 16, 1978. Preface. Avatar Meher Baba, who observed silence for over 4 decades, once conveyed through his graceful gestures to a large group of his followers. I am the only beloved, and you are all my lovers. Or, I am the only lover, and you are all my beloveds. I am the ocean of love. Meher Baba's life
One
lived.
second now. Yeah. So that came
Yeah,
from
second one,
The God Man, page
God man.
299 by C.B. Purdom. These three lines. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Meher Baba's life lived as the divine beloved and lover in one, in the theme of the two volumes of Glimpses of the God Man. The first narrates, uh, that's the second
Reference, yes.
reference is there. Glimpses, volume 1, published by Sufism Reoriented, INC, Walnut Creek, Calif, USA, 1978, 77. Yeah, the first narrates a part of his old life wherein he asserts himself as the beloved, and the second mainly presents his new life, the life of a lover. The terms old life and new life may sound strange to readers, for they have not been used in the life story of any avatar, the God man. So instead of commenting of these two terms, I prefer to quote an excerpt from a message given by Meher Baba in October 1950 when he stepped into the old life for a few hours from the new life. It reads, "My old life places me on the altar of absolute godhood and divine perfection. My new life makes me take the stand of a humble servant of God and his people. In my new life, perfect divinity is replaced by perfect humility. In my new life, I am the seeker, the lover, and the friend. Both these aspects, perfect divinity and perfect humility, have been by God's will, and both are everlastingly linked with God's eternal life. To be frank, it is beyond my ability to explain, even remotely, the significance of these two terms. Nevertheless, I somehow feel that these two phases in the life of Meher Baba are not antithetical but complementary, and it is only when they are taken together that the life of the God man as the ocean of love in relation to his work for humanity can be expressed. Based on this vaguer understanding, I have dared to rush in to narrate what I have gathered from various incidents and messages as well as explanations given by Meher Baba. My main intention, however, is to present a factual account of the new life phase of Meher Baba, and the subtle implications can be judged or felt by the readers themselves. As I commenced writing this particular account, time seemed to unfold backwards, and the incredible stories I had heard from Meher Baba's companions, Erach, Pendu, Adi, and others, often flooded my memory, adding to the remembrance of the paltry part he allowed me to play in it. Arid intellectualism or cold-hearted mysticism will not help one to appreciate the profundity of the new life led and lived by Meher Baba, unless the mind of its own voli, uh, volition is completely silenced. Its chattering will continue, and my mind is no exception to this. I presume that one of the ways of effacing one's mind is to share with others the lilas of the God man or to sing his praise. And who knows, this may lead to that blessed event of being struck by glance of the eternal beloved, and at the opportune moment, the awakened heart shall blossom into songs of his praise, eventually drowning all thoughts and words in the infinite silence, the drop merging in the ocean of love. But yeah, the third Leela's the incidents revealing love and knowledge of the God man to the divine game he plays with creation. But until that time, one has to find, maintain, and enrich one's relationship with the one worthy of being served and loved. This may, in a way, appear simple, but isn't it most difficult? Why? Avatar Mir Baba once stated, the humor of the divine love game is that the one who is sought is himself the seeker. There's a reference number 4. Meher Baba, the everything and nothing, page number 17. What a fantastic fun. And in this incredible game, writing and reading can be one of the avatar's infinite moves to bring him closer to himself in his ocean of love. This book is continuation of Glimpses, Volume 1. Those who begin reading Glimpses with this volume may not feel conversant with some of the non-English terms frequently used in this book. I request them to refer to the glossary for their meanings. The opening chapter of Volume 2 succinctly introduces readers to the new life phase of Meher Baba while continuing to narrate his work with the must, the god intoxicated souls. The new life of Meher Baba has no parallel in known spiritual history. However, there is some mention of God absorbed souls in Vedantic and Sufic traditions. Such God intoxicated souls, or also known as must, are spiritually advanced individuals overpowered with and absorbed in their love for God, the beloved. In the 1940s, contact with the must in different parts of India and Pakistan constituted one of Mir Baba's main external activities. He had clarified that these contacts had a spiritual purpose of recharging and raising the consciousness of the must. The Wayfarers by William Donkin, with a profound foreword by Meher Baba, is a monumental work, the only one of its kind. In this book, the different characteristics of the must, experiencing sublime states of consciousness in which they are oblivious of the gross world, are recorded and their significance elucidated. Those who are interested in the study of inner realities of existence will be fascinated and enlightened by the material provided in the book. The must contacts mentioned in Volume 2 from 1950 onwards are not recorded in the Wayfarers. Owing to these two intricate and puzzling subjects, I often thought of giving up totally the compilation of the uh, instruct, inscrutable events and episodes mentioned in this volume. But somehow, I don't know how I summoned up courage and ventured to put on the record through this volume the external features of the God man's life, led during the new life phase. In this narration of Mer Baba's life, I have tried to create a pattern by shuttling back and forth, often presenting an incident from the earlier years or quoting bits of messages given by him during the latter years. I have taken this liberty with the hope that in this way I might be able to view a more comprehensive picture of his life. A short life sketch of Meher Baba by his secretary disciple Aditi Rani forms the introduction to the first volume of Glimpses. Its reading will be helpful in arriving at basic understanding of the life and work of Meher Baba, the avatar of the age, to represent one of the common reactions regarding the role/mission of the avatar. I intend to quote below a part of an interview which Meher Baba gave to a journalist at Nasik, India. The reporter was greatly impressed by Meher Baba's simple and profound replies on different subjects. But as he was not interested in the deeper aspects of life, he asked Meher Baba, "What then is your philosophy about?" "I have no philosophy." "If you have no new philosophy to preach, what is your job?" "My job," Baba answered, without wincing at the word, "is to awaken the feeling of godliness in humanity." There's a reference of five. The Awakener, Volume 10, number 2, 1964, page number 1. During one of his visits to the West, in reply to a question, "What is God's business?" Meher Baba, with his unique sense of humor, stated, "God is everlasting and indivisible, transacts his universal illusory business of duality by playing his dual role of opposites simultaneously and eternally. Saints are God's assets and sinners are his liabilities. God, the infinite source of wisdom and justice, goes on eternally turning his liability into assets." Reference number 6. I will read this part again, maybe, if you want. God, the everlasting and indivisible, transacts his universal illusory business of duality by playing his dual role of opposites simultaneously and eternally. Saints are God's assets and sinners are his liabilities. God, the infinite source of wisdom and justice, goes on eternally turning his liabilities into assets. And this is reference number 6 there. Reference number 6. Okay. So, and the ad,
So
reference number
Ashok,
6
you
is
can
Meher.
print and blow this up for your room behind your seat. And
Yeah.
this is
Reference
reference
number
number
6.
6.
Yeah. Life at its Meher Baba, life at its best, page number 11.
Definitely.
And the advent of God as the God man is to quicken his business through the nobility of a life supremely lived, of a love unmixed with desire of power, unused except for others, of a peace untroubled by ambition, of a knowledge undimmed by illusion. Reference number 7. In page number 7, reference number 7 is Meher Baba Discourses, volume 3, page 16. Okay, in other words, Avatar's business is to awaken the heart of humanity to the innermost presence of God. Meher Baba has often stated, "I have come not to teach but to awaken." The avatar is the first perfect miracle of the eternal awakening of God as God in man, so he is known as the God man. In his unbounded love and compassion for humanity, age after age, the firstborn assumes a human form, and this is known as his advent. And as time is immersible, he is also the ancient one. In conclusion, I quote one of the Meher Baba's message declaring his divine status. He categorically stated, "I was Ram, I was Rama, I was Krishna, I was this one, I was that one, and now I am Meher Baba. In this form of flesh and blood, I am that same ancient one who alone is eternally worshipped and ignored, ever remembered and forgotten. I am that ancient one whose past is worshipped and remembered, whose present is ignored, and forgotten, and whose future, in bracket advent, is anticipated with great fervor and longing. Reference number 8. Reference number 8 is Mer Baba, The Everything and Nothing, page number 48. In the early years of my contact with Meher Baba, Meher Baba, his overwhelming presence used to bother me a lot. The enormity of his divinity would confuse me about the nature of my relationship with him, the mighty, infinite, infinite one. Sometimes I even feared that my weaknesses and drawbacks might take me away from him. Then one day at Satara, as I was sitting in Mer Baba's presence, he asked me, "Any worry?" I said, thought a bit shyly, "Baba, you are you are so great and infinite, and I wonder whether I will hold on to you to your Daman till the very end." Baba looked at me with an expression conveying what a foolish question I had asked him. He gestured he gestured that he is the greatest and he is also the smallest. Then he just smiled at me, and it was a perfect answer. From this little event, I gathered that whatever great or small is offered to him in his loving remembrance, please him and takes one closer to him. So, in my own simple way, I am trying to please beloved Avatar Mir Baba to glimpses, and if others to feel pleased to some extent. Glory be unto him. It will be another joke of the perfect puppeteer. I have tried to be accurate in the narration of Meher Baba's life and have quoted his statements and messages from authentic sources. In this important and responsible work, Eraj Jasawala, one of Meher Baba's closest disciples, greatly helped me by graciously going through the entire manuscript of Glimpses, Volume 2. His suggestions and corrections were most valuable, and I feel greatly indebted to him for his loving guidance. If, however, a few errors have crept in, then I, as an amateur in this venture of writing, am responsible for them. However, when anyone sincerely tries to love the eternal beloved Meher Baba, then a part of his heart becomes consecrated to Baba to be used as his wishes. The lover's very being starts to become hollow as a reed. And when
The
unaware
lover's
of
very
it,
being. So the lover's very being
the
starts to
lover's
become
very
hollow.
being starts to become hollow as a reed. And then, unaware of its fluteness, Baba in his own time plays a few good notes. If some lines from this writing appeal to anyone, the secret rests in the whim and pleasure of the perfect piper, Mir Baba. Preface. As a drop of rain, as a drop of rain finds its way to the ocean, its source and goal, so also I hope that this writing, a feeble response to Avatar Meher Baba's love, shall reach him, the ocean of love. Bal Natu. Mirazat, October 16, 1978.
Okay, I think
Meher Baba.
we can start. We can start next week, given that we are almost at the end of our time. So we can start from chapter one, volume two, from next week. Yeah. Any quick thoughts or questions and comments? And
Yeah,
uh, yeah,
Jai Baba. So WHO, we discussed on meditation. So WHO announced 21st December as the International Meditation Day. So We had good discussions on meditation, and then we also read in these courses about meditation, types of meditation. So it is now being recognized as a therapy and good for well-being all over. It's not just confined to the seekers, but general public at large. For everybody.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I missed
Today,
that
today is the
news.
one. Today's, yeah. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
on WhatsApp, you get a lot of messages that you can meditate with me and all that. A lot of teachers messages are coming.
Wow,
Jai Baba. Yeah.
that's
I did
wonderful.
one in the morning, I did one in the morning, meditation led by many, many, many 100,000 people joined. It was
Yes.
very good.
Yes. Yeah. Jai Baba.
Mamita ji, is that Habild Saurabh Botra?
Yeah, yeah. I joined his meditation. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'll probably, on this note, stop recording. We can hang around for some more time. Also, use the opportunity to know more about Tarun. And Tarun, your feedback is also welcome, joining us for the first time.